The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the emergency alert pierced through the assembled delegates' conversations.
Ambassador Zektar of the Crystalline Hegemony's four eyes widened in horror as the holographic display materialized above the central platform. The image showed a small human vessel, no larger than a standard transport shuttle, drifting dangerously close to the Forbidden Sector. "By the Ancient Ones," whispered Council Prime Veltash, her tentacles curling in distress.
"The humans have breached the containment zone."
The assembled representatives from 47 different species erupted into panicked chatter. The Forgotten Sector had been sealed for over 3,000 years, ever since the last encounter with the creature that dwelt within. No ship had entered that region of space and returned to tell the tale. The very mention of what lived there sent shivers through even the most hardened warriors of the galaxy. Zektar's crystalline form shimmered with nervous energy as he accessed the communication array.
"Human vessel, this is Ambassador Zektar of the Galactic Council. You have entered a restricted zone. Turn back immediately. This is not a request."
The response came through crackling with static, a young voice that sounded almost cheerful despite the dire circumstances.
"Oh, hi there. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Curiosity.
We're just exploring this really cool nebula we found.
The colors are amazing. My daughter Emma wanted to see it up close."
A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Not only had humans entered the Forbidden Sector, but they had brought a child with them. The species present had different concepts of childhood, but all understood the universal tragedy of young life cut short. "Captain Chen," Zektar's voice took on an urgent tone, his translator struggling to convey the depth of his concern.
"You must evacuate that sector immediately.
There is a creature there, an ancient being of immense power and malevolence. It has destroyed entire fleets. Your ship and your child are in mortal danger." There was a pause, then the human voice returned, still maintaining that infuriating calm.
"A creature? What kind of creature?" "Emma loves animals. She's been studying xenobiology since she could read." The Mantoid representative, General Plix, chittered in disbelief. "The humans think this is some sort of nature expedition. They have no idea what they're dealing with."
Veltash activated the central hologram, displaying the historical records. The image showed a massive dragon-like entity, its scales black as the void between stars, eyes burning with the fury of dying suns. Its length stretched for kilometers, and ancient energy weapons scarred its hide like decorative patterns. This was Nyth Andra the Void Render, the last of the cosmic drakes, being so powerful they were said to have been present at the universe's birth.
"Captain Chen, observe the historical data we are transmitting," Veltash announced. "This creature has been responsible for the destruction of the hegemonic fleet, the Vanguard Armada, and countless other vessels. It feeds on stellar energy and views all other life forms as insignificant insects to be eliminated." The transmission remained silent for several long moments. When Sarah Chen's voice returned, it carried a note of wonder rather than fear. "Wow, it's beautiful. Emma's practically bouncing in her seat.
She says it looks lonely."
"Lonely?"
The word came out as a horrified squeak from Ambassador Quillix of the Rodentine Confederacy. His whiskers twitched frantically as he processed the human's response.
"The child thinks a cosmic horror looks lonely?"
On the screens monitoring the human vessel, the delegates could see it continuing its approach toward the heart of the nebula where Nyth Andra was known to dwell. The ship moved slowly, almost casually, as if its occupants were on a peaceful sightseeing tour rather than approaching certain death.
Zektar tried a different approach.
"Captain Chen, we are dispatching our fastest rescue vessels, but they will not reach you in time if the creature attacks. Please, for the sake of your child, reverse course immediately."
"That's very kind of you, but we're not in any danger," came the reply. "Emma's been monitoring the energy signatures, and she says the creature isn't hostile. She thinks it's just been alone for too long and doesn't know how to communicate with other species." The chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves united in their shared disbelief at human audacity. The idea that a child could understand the motivations of a being that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia was beyond comprehension. General Plix's mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke. "The humans have clearly suffered some form of mass psychosis. No rational species would willingly approach Nyth Andra, let alone claim to understand its emotional state." "Perhaps their ship's life support has malfunctioned," suggested Dr. Helix of the Synthetic Collective. oxygen deprivation could explain their irrational behavior.
But Veltash was studying the energy readings from the forbidden sector with growing concern. The massive spatial distortions that typically surrounded NYTH Chandra's domain were present, but they seemed different somehow. The chaotic patterns that had torn apart previous vessels were shifting into something that almost resembled curiosity.
"The creature is aware of them," she announced, her voice barely above a whisper. "NYTH Chandra knows they're coming."
The main display suddenly flickered and changed to show the view from the human vessel's external cameras. The nebula around them pulsed with ethereal blues and purples, shot through with veins of silver light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. In the distance, a shadow began to take shape, growing larger with each passing second. "Oh my goodness," Sarah Chen's voice came through the speakers, filled with awe.
"Emma, are you seeing this? Look at the size of it."
The shadow resolved into the unmistakable form of NYTH Chandra, but something was wrong with the image. The delegates expected to see the creature in its full battle fury, energy crackling between its claws, stellar fire burning in its throat. Instead, the ancient drake appeared to be moving slowly, almost cautiously, as it approached the tiny human vessel. "It's not attacking," Zektar observed, his four eyes blinking in rapid succession as his mind tried to process what he was witnessing.
"Why isn't it attacking?" On the screen, they could see the human ship had come to a complete stop.
Through the transparent sections of the hull, a small figure could be seen pressed against the viewing port. Emma Chen, no more than 10 standard years old by human measurement, was waving enthusiastically at the approaching cosmic dragon.
"Hello there, big guy."
The child's voice came through the communication array, clear and unafraid.
"You're even more beautiful than in the pictures. My name is Emma." "What's yours?" The galaxy held its breath.
Every delegate in the chamber, every crew member on their ships, every being monitoring the emergency broadcasts waited for the inevitable.
NYTH Chandra would respond as it always had to intrusion into its domain.
The human ship would be reduced to its component atoms, and another tragic entry would be added to the long list of the creature's victims. Instead, something unprecedented happened. The massive dragon slowed its approach even further, its head tilting in a gesture that seemed almost confused. The energy signatures emanating from its form shifted from the typical aggressive patterns to something the monitoring stations had never recorded before.
"By the eternal flame," whispered General Clix. It's listening to her."
The dragon's enormous head, larger than the human ship itself, moved closer to the viewing port where Emma stood waving. The child showed no fear, instead pressing both hands against the transparent barrier and smiling broadly. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the most feared creature in the galaxy and a human child simply looked at each other. NYT Chandra's eyes, each one the size of a small moon, blinked slowly. When they reopened, the burning fury that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like wonder.
"I think it likes me," Emma announced cheerfully. "Mom, can we stay and talk to it for a while? I want to learn about where it comes from."
The communication fell silent except for the sound of Sarah Chen's gentle laughter.
"Of course, sweetheart. But first, let's see if our new friend wants to say hello properly."
What happened next would be debated by xenobiologists and philosophers for generations to come. NYT Chandra, the Void Render, the terror of the galaxy, slowly extended one massive claw toward the human ship. The gesture was impossibly gentle, barely touching the hull with the very tip of its talon in what could only be described as the most careful greeting in cosmic history. The delegates in the Galactic Council chamber watched in stunned silence as their understanding of one of the galaxy's greatest mysteries crumbled before their eyes. Everything they thought they knew about NYTH Chandra, every assumption about its nature and motivations, was being rewritten by the innocent curiosity of a human child. "Prepare all available scientific vessels for departure to the Forbidden Sector," Veltash commanded, her voice shaking with the weight of what she was witnessing.
"We may be about to witness the most significant first contact event in galactic history."
As the emergency session continued into the night cycle, one thought echoed through the minds of every being present.
If humans could accomplish the impossible simply by approaching with kindness instead of fear, what else might they be capable of? The galaxy was about to find out, and nothing would ever be the same again. The last image transmitted from the human vessel before communication temporarily ceased showed Emma Chen's face pressed against the viewing port, her breath fogging the transparent barrier as she spoke animatedly to the cosmic dragon that had moved close enough to listen.
NYT Chandra's massive eye filled the frame, reflecting the child's image like a mirror that showed not a monster, but a lonely being discovering friendship for the first time in millennia. 24 hours had passed since the impossible first contact, and the Galactic Council's Emergency Command Center buzzed with unprecedented activity. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had arrived, along with their finest xenobiologists, linguists, and military strategists. The situation had evolved beyond a simple rescue mission into the most significant diplomatic event in recorded history. Admiral Karath of the Dominion Navy paced restlessly before the main display, his scaled hide reflecting the blue glow of the monitoring screens. "We have 17 fleets positioned at the perimeter of the Forbidden Sector, and still no word from the human vessel. For all we know, they've already been consumed." "The energy readings suggest otherwise," Dr. Elon of the Academic Consortium interjected, her multiple arms dancing across holographic interfaces as she analyzed the data streams.
"The spatial distortions around NYT Chandra have stabilized into patterns we've never seen before. If the creature had destroyed the humans, we would expect to see the typical aggressive energy spikes." Veltash studied the readings with growing fascination. In her centuries of service to the Council, she had never encountered anything like this. The patterns appear almost musical. As if the creature is somehow harmonizing with the human vessel's energy signature. Suddenly, the communication array crackled to life. Sarah Chen's voice came through clearly, though she sounded tired. "Galactic Council, this is Captain Chen. Sorry for the radio silence, but we've been having the most amazing conversation. Emma's been teaching our new friend about Earth, and it's been sharing stories about the early universe." The chamber erupted in disbelief. Ambassador Zektar's crystalline form pulsed with nervous energy as he responded. "Captain Chen, please clarify. Are you claiming to have established communication with NYT Chandra?" "Oh, we're way beyond basic communication now," Emma's excited voice chimed in over the speakers. "NYT Chandra, and, yes, that is its name, though it prefers NYTH for short, has been alone for almost 4 billion years. Can you imagine? That's longer than life has existed on Earth." General Clix's mandibles clicked in rapid succession. The child speaks as if the creature is her personal friend. This level of anthropomorphization suggests severe psychological trauma. "Actually," Sarah Chen interjected, her voice taking on a more serious tone, "Emma's xenobiology training is proving incredibly valuable here. NYTH appears to experience emotions in ways similar to Earth's more intelligent species, but on a cosmic scale. The loneliness it's experienced would be devastating to any social creature." Dr. Helix of the Synthetic Collective processed this information with mechanical precision. The hypothesis suggests that NYT Chandra's aggressive behavior was not inherently malevolent, but rather a response to prolonged isolation. This contradicts 4,000 years of military doctrine. The main display suddenly shifted to show a new image transmitted from the human vessel. The delegates gasped collectively as they saw Emma Chen floating in a small maintenance pod just outside her ship, protected only by a child-sized environmental suit. Beside her, maintaining perfect distance to avoid accidentally harming the tiny human, floated NYT Chandra's massive head. "By the Ancient Ones," Zektar whispered, "the child is in open space with the creature." What they witnessed next challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about interspecies communication. Emma was making gestures with her small hands, pointing to different stars and nebulae visible in the distance. NYT Chandra followed her movements with its enormous eyes, occasionally responding with subtle shifts in its body language that somehow conveyed meaning. "Emma's developed a form of spatial sign language," Sarah Chen explained through the communication link. "NYTH experiences the universe on such a vast scale that traditional vocal communication is almost impossible. But visual references to cosmic features create a shared vocabulary." The child's voice came through her suit's communicator, filled with wonder and excitement. "NYTH remembers when this whole sector was just a stellar nursery. It watched the stars being born and civilizations developing. It even remembers when the first intelligent species in this region developed space travel." Ambassador Quillix of the Rodentine Confederacy nervously groomed his whiskers as he processed this revelation. If the creature has been observing galactic civilization for millennia, its knowledge of our histories and technologies could be invaluable. Or catastrophically dangerous if it decides we're a threat. "That's the interesting part," Emma continued, oblivious to the political implications of her conversation. "NYTH never thought of other species as threats. It was confused by why everyone always attacked it first and asked questions later. It just wanted someone to talk to. The implications of this statement sent shockwaves through the assembled delegates. For 1,000 years of military encounters, countless lost ships and lives, entire civilizations that had avoided this sector of space, all because of a fundamental misunderstanding. Dr. Elon manipulated her holographic displays to show historical records of previous encounters with NYTH Andra. Reviewing past incidents with this new context, the creature's behavior patterns suggest defensive rather than aggressive responses. Each attack corresponded to ships entering its territory with weapons charged and shields raised. The humans approached with no weapons and open communication channels, Veltash observed. Their child even expressed joy at seeing the creature rather than fear. We may have been creating the very hostility we sought to avoid. On the display, Emma had begun what appeared to be some sort of game with NYTH Andra. The massive dragon was creating intricate patterns with controlled energy discharges, while the child responded by directing her pod in corresponding movements. The sight of the galaxy's most feared creature playing with a human child was surreal beyond comprehension.
This is remarkable, breathed Dr. Helix.
The creature is demonstrating precise control over energies that typically tear apart spacetime. Its ability to moderate its power for interaction with such a fragile being suggests intelligence levels we never imagined.
Admiral Koroth watched the display with growing unease.
Intelligence makes it more dangerous, not less. If this creature decides humanity is worthy of protection, it could upset the entire balance of galactic power.
We need to consider the long-term implications.
As if responding to his concerns, Emma's voice came through the speakers again, this time with a note of sadness. NYTH is showing me memories of all the ships that came here before. It never wanted to hurt anyone, but they kept shooting first. It was just trying to protect itself.
The chamber fell silent as the full weight of 4 millennia of tragedy became clear.
Every heroic fleet that had attempted to destroy the monster, every brave captain who had led expeditions into the Forbidden Sector, every memorial erected for those lost to NYTH Andra's fury, all of it based on a fundamental failure to communicate. Captain Chen, Veltash spoke carefully, her tentacles curling with the stress of the moment. Would NYTH Andra be willing to communicate with other representatives of the galactic community?
Perhaps we can begin to repair this ancient misunderstanding.
There was a pause as Sarah Chen apparently consulted with her daughter and their cosmic companion. NYTH is interested, but it's very cautious.
It's been hurt by the hostile reactions before.
Emma's suggesting we start small, maybe just a few scientists and unarmed vessels? General Klix chittered nervously. How can we trust that the creature won't suddenly revert to aggressive behavior? One moment of lost control could destroy entire fleets.
Emma's young voice responded with the confidence that only children possess.
NYTH has been controlling its power around me for hours now. It's being more careful than my mom when she carries her good china. Besides, it promised not to hurt any of my species as long as we keep being friends. The concept of a cosmic entity making promises to a human child was so absurd that several delegates questioned whether they were experiencing some form of shared hallucination.
Yet the evidence was undeniable.
The most dangerous creature in known space was carefully playing games with a 10-year-old girl. Dr. Elon began coordinating with her team to prepare a small scientific expedition. We'll need specialists in xenolinguistics, cosmic psychology, and high-energy physics. The opportunity to study NYTH Andra's abilities could advance our understanding of the universe by centuries.
And if the creature decides it no longer wishes to be friendly? Admiral Koroth demanded. What protection do we have against a being that can manipulate spacetime itself?
Emma's laughter came through the speakers, clear and innocent.
Why would NYTH stop being friendly? We're having fun.
It's showing me how it paints with stellar dust, and I'm teaching it Earth songs.
Did you know cosmic dragons can hum? It's the most beautiful sound in the universe.
As if to demonstrate, a low, harmonious resonance began to emanate through space itself, picked up by every sensor array in the sector. The sound was unlike anything any species had ever recorded, a melody that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of reality, touching something deep and primal in the consciousness of every being that heard it. By the eternal flame, General Klix whispered, his usual aggressive demeanor replaced by awe.
It's singing.
The melody continued for several minutes, a song of loneliness and joy intertwined, of eons spent in solitude and the sudden brightness of unexpected friendship.
When it finally faded, not a single being in the command center could speak.
Emma's voice broke the silence, filled with excitement. Wasn't that amazing?
NYTH is composing a song about making friends with humans.
It wants to teach it to other dragons if we ever find any more.
The possibility that there might be other cosmic dragons, potentially equally lonely and misunderstood, opened up possibilities that both thrilled and terrified the assembled delegates. The galaxy had just gained its first cosmic ally, and the implications were staggering. As the emergency session continued into another day cycle, one fact became increasingly clear. The universe was much larger, stranger, and more wonderful than any of them had imagined. And it had taken a human child to show them the most important lesson of all: sometimes the scariest monsters just needed someone to listen.
3 days after first contact, the Forbidden Sector had been transformed into the most active region of space in galactic history.
Scientific vessels from dozens of species formed a careful perimeter around NYTH Andra's domain, while diplomatic envoys prepared for humanity's first formal presentation to the Galactic Council. But it was what happened inside the nebula that truly captured the galaxy's attention. Emma Chen had become the unofficial ambassador to a cosmic dragon, and she was taking her responsibilities very seriously. The child had spent the morning explaining Earth's educational system to NYTH Andra, using her tablet to show pictures of schools, libraries, and playgrounds. The ancient being listened with the patience of eons, occasionally asking questions through the complex visual sign language they had developed together.
So human children learn by playing games? NYTH Andra's question manifested as a series of precise energy pulses that Emma's translation program converted into text on her screen.
That's right, Emma said enthusiastically, floating in her maintenance pod beside the dragon's massive eye.
Learning should be fun.
When things are fun, we remember them better and want to learn more.
Dr.
Elan observed from her research vessel's bridge, recording every interaction for future study.
The creature's learning capacity appears unlimited.
It has absorbed more information about human culture in 3 days than most species acquire in decades of formal diplomatic exchange. Ambassador Zektar's crystalline form pulsed with nervous energy as he monitored the conversations. The question remains whether this knowledge makes humanity safer or more vulnerable. A being with such power and intimate knowledge of our species could manipulate us in ways we cannot imagine.
On the main display, Emma had begun showing NYTH Andra pictures of Earth's wildlife.
The dragon's reactions were fascinating to observe: energy patterns that seemed to indicate delight when viewing images of whales, confusion at pictures of insects, and something resembling protective concern when Emma showed it photos of endangered species. Earth's creatures are so small, NYTH Andra observed, yet they create such complex societies. Your whales sing songs through your oceans like I sing through space, but their melodies are brief and delicate.
Emma nodded eagerly.
Mom says whales might be almost as smart as humans, just in different ways.
Do you know any other species that sing like you do?
The pause that followed was heavy with ancient sorrow.
Once, there were many who sang the deep songs. My kind traveled between galaxies, sharing stories and music across the void.
But time claimed them all, one by one, until only I remained. The revelation sent shockwaves through the monitoring stations. NYTH Andra wasn't just the last of its species in this galaxy, it might be the last cosmic dragon in the known universe. The implications for xenobiology and cosmic evolution were staggering. General Klix, who had been listening from the military command vessel, chittered softly. A species that could travel between galaxies would have witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations.
The knowledge it possesses could rewrite our understanding of galactic history.
Emma, oblivious to the political ramifications, simply offered comfort in the way only a child could.
That must have been really lonely. But you're not alone anymore.
You have me, and Mom, and all our friends in the Galactic Council. Your friends fear me, NYTH Andra replied, its energy patterns shifting to something that resembled gentle amusement. Their ships maintain careful distance, and their communications carry the scent of anxiety.
They're just scared because they don't know you yet, Emma explained patiently. Once they see how nice you are, they'll want to be friends too. Mom always says that fear comes from not understanding. Sarah Chen's voice came through the communication link from the Curiosity. Speaking of which, sweetheart, we have visitors coming. The Galactic Council is sending a small diplomatic party to meet NYTH properly. The announcement caused a stir of activity throughout the sector as 3 small, unarmed vessels approached the nebula's edge. Ambassador Veltash led the delegation, accompanied by Dr. Elon and, at Emma's specific request, Ambassador Quillix, whose species' natural nervousness reminded the child of Earth's rabbits. Remember, Emma coached NYTH Andra as the diplomatic vessels approached. They're going to be really nervous. Maybe don't show them your teeth right away, and try to keep your energy fields dim so they don't hurt anyone's sensors. The ancient dragon's amusement was palpable through the cosmic energy fluctuations. You speak as if I am a pet being introduced to guests, little star friend. Well, kind of, Emma admitted with a giggle. Except you're the biggest, smartest, most amazing pet in the universe. The comparison would have been insulting to any other cosmic entity, but NYTH Andra found the child's perspective refreshing after millennia of being treated as either a god or a monster. Very well. I shall be the most well-behaved cosmic pet in galactic history. As the diplomatic vessels entered the nebula, every sensor in the sector focused on the historic encounter. The delegates aboard the lead ship were visibly nervous, despite their years of training in first contact protocols. Nothing in their experience had prepared them for meeting a being older than their civilizations. Ambassador Veltash's tentacles trembled slightly as she opened the communication channel. Greetings, NYTH Andra. I am Veltash of the Galactic Council. We come seeking understanding and, if possible, friendship. The response came not through traditional channels but as a direct energy transmission that somehow conveyed meaning without language. The delegates felt rather than heard NYTH Andra's words, "Welcome, small ones. The star friend has spoken well of you." Emma floated between the diplomatic vessels and the cosmic dragon, serving as an unlikely mediator. NYTH, these are the friends I told you about. Veltash runs the Galactic Council. She's kind of like the principal of a really big school. Dr. Elon studies how different species think and learn. And Quillix, well, Quillix is nervous but really wants to help. Ambassador Quillix's whiskers twitched rapidly as he addressed the dragon. We are honored by your willingness to communicate. Our records show many tragic misunderstandings in the past. We hope to build a better future. NYTH Andra's massive head tilted in consideration. Your people shoot first and apologize later. This approach has cost many lives across the millennia. Why should this time be different? Dr. Elon stepped forward in her vessel's viewing chamber. Because we have learned something new. We learned it from a human child who saw you not as a monster, but as a lonely being in need of friendship. Perhaps wisdom sometimes comes from the smallest voices. The cosmic dragon's energy pattern shifted to something resembling surprise. The young one has changed how you see? How is this possible? Humans have a saying, Veltash explained, her nervousness giving way to genuine fascination. Sometimes it takes the innocence of a child to see the truth that adults miss. Emma saw past 4,000 years of fear and conflict to recognize your true nature. Emma beamed at the praise, then turned back to NYTH Andra with excitement. See? I told you they were smart. Now, can you show them the star painting you made yesterday? I think they'll really like it. What followed was perhaps the most surreal art exhibition in galactic history. NYTH Andra began to manipulate cosmic dust and energy with incredible precision, creating three-dimensional sculptures of light and matter that told the story of the universe's birth. The delegates watched in awe as galaxies formed and evolved in miniature, stars lived and died in moments, and the lonely wandering of the last cosmic dragon played out in breathtaking detail. This is impossible, Dr. Elon whispered, her multiple eyes tracking the complex interplay of forces. The level of control required to manipulate matter and energy on this scale without disrupting spacetime. NYTH Andra isn't bound by our understanding of physics, Sarachin observed from the Curiosity. It exists on a level we're only beginning to comprehend. The artistic display concluded with an image of Emma's arrival, the child's small form rendered in stellar light approaching the dragon's domain without fear. The final scene showed the two of them together, surrounded by ships from many worlds, all connected by threads of understanding and friendship. Beautiful, Veltash breathed, her tentacles curling in appreciation. You have shown us not just your power, but your soul. NYTH Andra's response carried warmth that reached across the void. The Starfriend taught me that power without connection is merely existence. True life requires those who care whether you wake each day. General Klix, monitoring from his command ship, found himself deeply moved despite his military training. The creature speaks of loneliness and connection as if they are fundamental forces of the universe.
Perhaps they are, Emma suggested, having overheard the comment through the open channels. Maybe being alone for too long hurts cosmic dragons just like it hurts humans. That's why NYTH got defensive when strangers came calling, it was protecting itself from more hurt. The simple wisdom of the child's observation struck every delegate present. For 1,000 years of military doctrine, xenobiological theory, and diplomatic protocol, and it had taken a 10-year-old to identify the core issue.
Ambassador Quillix gathered his courage to ask the question on everyone's mind. NYTH Andra, would you be willing to share your knowledge with the galactic community? Your perspective on cosmic evolution and history could benefit all species. In exchange for what? The dragon asked, though its tone held curiosity rather than suspicion. Emma answered before any of the adults could speak. Friendship. You give us your stories, and we give you ours. You teach us about the universe, and we teach you about all the different worlds and people in it. And, whenever you're lonely, you can visit and we'll have tea parties, well, maybe not actual tea, but you know what I mean. The concept of having tea parties with a cosmic dragon was so absurd that Ambassador Zektar's crystalline form nearly shattered from the resonance of his laughter. But, somehow, in the context of everything they had witnessed, it made perfect sense. NYT Chandra's acceptance resonated through space itself. Then, let us begin this grand exchange of stories, little star friend. I have much to tell, and it seems the universe has much yet to teach me. As the historic negotiations continued into the night cycle, the galaxy began to understand that they had gained more than just a powerful ally. They had witnessed the birth of a new kind of diplomacy, one based not on power or fear, but on the simple recognition that even the mightiest beings in the universe sometimes just needed a friend. 1 week after the historic first contact, the transformed Forbidden Sector had become the most studied region of space in galactic history. Scientists from every major civilization worked around the clock to understand the implications of humanity's friendship with NYTH Andra. But it was the small moments between a cosmic dragon and a human child that continued to reshape everything the galaxy thought it knew about power, wisdom, and compassion. Emma had established a daily routine with her new friend that fascinated xenobiologists across the sector. Each morning, she would float out in her maintenance pod to share breakfast, her nutrition bars and NYTH Andra's stellar energy absorption, while telling stories about Earth. Today, she was explaining the concept of birthdays. So once a year, we celebrate the day we were born, Emma said, munching on her apple-flavored nutrition bar. Everyone sings songs and gives presents, and there's usually cake. When's your birthday, NYTH? The cosmic dragon's massive eye blinked thoughtfully. I emerged from the stellar nursery of my birth galaxy approximately 13 billion years ago. But I have never celebrated this event. Emma's eyes widened with excitement. That means you've missed 13 billion birthday parties. We have to make up for lost time. Mom, can we throw NYTH a birthday party? Sarah Chan's laughter came through the communication link from the Curiosity. I think that might be the biggest birthday party in galactic history, sweetheart. We'd need a guest list that spans star systems. The conversation was being monitored by the Galactic Council's diplomatic team, who had been carefully documenting every interaction for the historical record. Ambassador Veltash found herself genuinely charmed by the child's enthusiasm, while simultaneously grappling with the protocol implications of a cosmic entity's birthday celebration. Dr. Elon had been studying the energy patterns that accompanied NYTH Andra's emotional states, and the dragon's response to Emma's birthday suggestion created readings unlike anything in her database. The creature is experiencing what can only be described as joy, she reported to her team. Its energy signature has shifted to patterns that mirror human laughter. Indeed, NYTH Andra's amusement was affecting local spacetime in subtle but measurable ways. Gravity waves rippled gently outward from the dragon's position, carrying harmonic frequencies that seemed to make every instrument in the sector hum in pleasant harmony. A birthday party, NYTH Andra mused, its mental voice carrying wonderment. In all my eons of existence, I never considered that my emergence into consciousness might be worthy of celebration. Emma floated closer to the dragon's eye, her small form reflected in the cosmic mirror. Everything's worthy of celebrating if it makes you happy. Besides, without your birthday, we never would have met, and that would be terrible. The profound simplicity of the child's logic resonated through the monitoring stations. General Klix, who had spent decades studying military strategy and threat assessment, found himself reconsidering fundamental assumptions about what made beings valuable allies.
A creature capable of destroying fleets was choosing to celebrate the simple joy of existing because a human child thought it was important.
The psychological implications are staggering, Dr. Helix observed from the Synthetic Collective's research vessel.
A being with near-infinite power and knowledge is deriving emotional satisfaction from the approval of what it perceives as a benevolent inferior.
This suggests empathy structures we never theorized possible.
As word of the proposed birthday party spread through diplomatic channels, something unexpected began to happen. Species that had never cooperated on anything started coordinating their contributions to what was rapidly becoming the galaxy's first interspecies celebration. The crystalline hegemony offered to create harmonic light displays, the Mantoid Collective volunteered their finest ceremonial musicians, and even the notoriously isolationist Voidwalkers expressed interest in observing the proceedings.
Ambassador Zektar found himself coordinating what might have been the most complex diplomatic event in galactic history, all because a 10-year-old human wanted to throw a birthday party.
"We're establishing protocols for celebrating the birth of a cosmic entity," he reported to his superiors with a mixture of bewilderment and awe.
"The legal and ceremonial precedents alone will require entirely new categories of diplomatic documentation."
Emma, blissfully unaware of the bureaucratic chaos she had unleashed, was busy planning the party details with NYTH Andra.
"We'll need music, obviously. Do you have a favorite song? And decorations. Can you make those beautiful light sculptures in different colors? Oh, and we should invite everyone. The more friends, the better the party."
"I fear my presence might frighten some potential guests," NYTH Andra admitted, its energy patterns showing traces of ancient sadness.
"Many species still remember me only as a source of destruction."
"Then, we'll just have to show them how wrong they were," Emma declared with the confidence only children possess when facing seemingly impossible tasks.
"Once they see you making pretty lights and having fun, they'll realize you're not scary at all."
The cosmic dragon's response carried a warmth that affected instruments across several light years. "Your faith in the goodness of others is remarkable, little star friend. Very well, let us plan this celebration of birth and friendship."
Over the next few days, the Forbidden Sector transformed yet again.
What had once been a zone of terror became a construction site as various species worked together to create something unprecedented. The Aquatic Federation contributed massive ice sculptures that sparkled in the nebula's light, while the Desert Confederacy used their mastery of crystalline structures to create a stunning amphitheater of living gems that could accommodate viewers from hundreds of different species. Dr. Elon documented every aspect of the preparations, her scientific mind boggling at the implications.
"We're witnessing the birth of genuine galactic cooperation," she reported to the Council. "Species that have been enemies for centuries are working side by side because they want to attend a birthday party."
The psychological shift required for this level of collaboration suggests that our understanding of interspecies relationships was fundamentally flawed. But it was the smaller moments that truly captured the galaxy's attention. Emma had begun teaching NYTH Andra Earth songs, her young voice carrying across space while the cosmic dragon provided harmonies that made distant stars pulse in rhythm. The sight of the universe's most feared creature carefully modulating its cosmic powers to avoid overwhelming a child's hearing became an image that would be remembered for millennia. "The creature is learning patience from a human child," Admiral Karath observed with wonder. "Beings who have spent lifetimes mastering self-control are witnessing a cosmic entity practice restraint for the comfort of a friend." The day of the birthday party arrived with delegations from across the galaxy gathering at the edge of the nebula. Some came out of curiosity, others from diplomatic necessity, but all found themselves caught up in the genuine joy of the celebration.
Emma had insisted on giving NYTH Andra a gift, though finding an appropriate present for a cosmic dragon had proven challenging.
"I made this myself," she announced, presenting a small holographic projector containing images and videos from Earth. "It's got pictures of all my favorite places on our planet, and some music I think you'll like, and videos of animals playing. So when you're traveling through space and feeling lonely, you can remember that you have friends who care about you." The gift was technologically insignificant compared to NYTH Andra's cosmic abilities, but its emotional value was immeasurable. The ancient being accepted the small device with a tenderness that bent spacetime around it, creating a protective field that would preserve the precious gift for eternity. "This is the first gift I have received in 4 billion years, NYTH Andra declared, its voice carrying across every communication channel in the sector. "It shall be treasured beyond the heat-death of stars."
The birthday celebration that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed.
NYTH Andra created a symphony of light and energy that told the story of the universe's birth, while species that had never shared the same space sang together in harmonies that spanned octaves impossible for any single race to achieve. Emma conducted the cosmic orchestra from her maintenance pod, her small gestures somehow coordinating forces that dwarfed planets. When the formal celebrations concluded and the delegations began to depart, something fundamental had changed in galactic civilization. The impossible had become routine, the feared had become beloved, and a human child had shown the galaxy that friendship could transform even the loneliest corners of the universe. As Emma prepared for sleep aboard the Curiosity, she floated one last time to her viewing port where NYTH Andra waited patiently.
"Did you have a good birthday?" she asked, stifling a yawn. The cosmic dragon's response carried the contentment of eons.
"It was perfect, little star friend. Thank you for teaching me that existence is not merely about enduring the passage of time, but about finding joy in the connections we make along the way."
"That's what friends are for," Emma said sleepily. "Sweet dreams, NYTH. I'll see you tomorrow."
As the child drifted off to sleep, NYTH Andra began to sing a lullaby that resonated through the cosmic background radiation itself, a song of gratitude, friendship, and hope that would echo through the universe long after the stars themselves had forgotten how to shine. The galaxy had gained its first cosmic guardian, and it had taken the pure heart of a human child to awaken the gentle giant that had always been hiding within the monster. 6 months had passed since Emma Chen's historic first contact with NYTH Andra, and the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The former forbidden sector had become the heart of a new age of interspecies cooperation, with the massive cosmic dragon serving as an unlikely catalyst for galactic unity. But the most profound changes were yet to come, and they would begin with a simple question from a human child. Emma had grown more confident in her role as humanity's first cosmic diplomat, though she still approached each day with the same wonder that had made the initial friendship possible. This particular morning found her floating beside NYTH Andra, sharing her daily breakfast while discussing a topic that had been puzzling her for weeks. "NYTH, you've told me about traveling between galaxies and watching civilizations grow up," Emma said, carefully peeling her orange in the zero gravity of her maintenance pod.
"But you've never mentioned meeting other cosmic dragons. Were you really the only one?"
The pause that followed carried the weight of eons. NYTH Andra's energy patterns shifted to frequencies that the monitoring stations had learned to recognize as deep sadness mixed with ancient longing. "I was not always alone, little star friend," the cosmic dragon finally replied. "Once, there were hundreds of my kind, spread across the local galaxy cluster. We would meet at the galactic centers, sharing songs that could be heard across millions of light years." Dr. Elon, who had been studying NYTH Andra's emotional responses for months, noticed something new in the energy readings.
"There's a harmonic frequency embedded in its communication that suggests active scanning. It's searching for something." Emma's eyes lit up with excitement. "You mean there might be other dragons out there? Maybe they're just really far away, or maybe they're hiding like you were hiding."
"The cosmos is vast beyond your comprehension," NYTH Andra admitted. "It is possible that others survived, perhaps in distant galaxies where I have not traveled for eons. But the likelihood grows smaller with each passing millennium." Sarah Chen's voice came through the communication link from the Curiosity, where she had been monitoring the conversation.
"Emma, sweetheart, what are you thinking? I can see those wheels turning."
"Well," Emma said, floating closer to NYTH Andra's massive eye with the determination that had already reshaped galactic diplomacy, "if there are other dragons out there who are as lonely as NYTH was, then we should find them. Nobody should have to be alone for billions of years." The suggestion sent shockwaves through the monitoring stations. Ambassador Veltash felt her tentacles curl with the implications. The child is proposing a search mission across galactic distances. The scale alone would require resources and cooperation unprecedented in galactic history. General Klix chittered nervously as he processed the military implications. A search for cosmic entities of NYTH Andra's power level could either result in the greatest diplomatic triumph in history or awaken forces beyond our ability to comprehend. But Emma was already developing her plan with the simple logic that had made the impossible routine.
NYTH knows what other dragons feel like, right?
And the galaxy has lots of really smart scientists who are good at finding things.
If we all work together, we could cover way more space than NYTH could search alone."
NYTH Andra's response carried a tremor of hope that affected gravitational sensors across several star systems. "Your species continues to surprise me, young one.
In my solitude, I never considered that others might aid in such a quest. But, the distances involved, even with your advanced technology, the search could take millions of years. So? Emma shrugged with the casual confidence of youth. Good things take time. Besides, think about how happy another dragon would be to hear from you after all these years. It would be like the best reunion party ever. Dr. Helix processed the conversation with mechanical precision before reaching a conclusion that surprised even his synthetic logic centers. The child's proposal, while seemingly naive, actually represents a logical extension of the cooperation we've already achieved. If we can throw birthday parties that span species, why not search missions that span galaxies? The idea began to take root in unexpected places. The academic consortium saw it as the ultimate research opportunity, the military alliance viewed it as a chance to map previously unknown regions of space, and the Trading Federation recognized the potential for discovering new civilizations and resources. But, it was the smaller species, those who had felt isolated or overlooked, who embraced the mission most enthusiastically. Ambassador Quillix of the Rodentine Confederacy surprised everyone by becoming the project's most vocal supporter. Our species knows the pain of being overlooked and underestimated. If there are cosmic beings suffering similar isolation, we have a moral obligation to attempt contact. Within days of Emma's suggestion, the Galactic Council had approved the formation of the Deep Search Initiative, the largest cooperative effort in recorded history. Hundreds of species contributed their most advanced scanning technologies, fastest ships, and finest scientists to what media outlets had dubbed Emma's Dragon Hunt. NYTH Andra watched the unprecedented mobilization with awe. Your people have transformed a solitary quest into a celebration of hope. I begin to understand why the universe chose your species to bridge the gap between worlds. Emma beamed at the praise while carefully adjusting her pod's position to avoid a particularly energetic gravity wave. It's not just my species, though. Everyone's helping. The crystalline hegemony is making supersensitive resonance detectors, the Voidwalkers are sharing their long-range scanning techniques, and the Aquatic Federation is designing special ships that can handle the pressure of galactic center regions. The preparations took months, but the galaxy had learned patience from watching a cosmic dragon carefully moderate its power to avoid harming a human child. When the first deep search vessels finally launched, their crews represented every major civilization and many minor ones, all united in the common goal of ending cosmic loneliness. The search itself became a secondary benefit to the cooperation it fostered. Species that had been enemies discovered common ground in their shared scientific curiosity. Trade routes that had been contested for centuries became collaborative highways as different groups worked together to supply the far-ranging search fleets. Emma remained at NYTH Andra's side throughout the mission, serving as both emotional support for her ancient friend and as a communication bridge between the Cosmic Dragon and the search teams. Her daily briefings to the Dragon about the mission's progress became must-see broadcasts across the galaxy. Team 7 found some really interesting energy signatures near the Whirlpool Galaxy, Emma reported during one such briefing, consulting her tablet while floating comfortably beside NYTH Andra's eye. They're not dragon-like yet, but Dr. Elon says they're definitely from something big and intelligent. Your scientists possess remarkable dedication, NYTH Andra observed. They search not for personal gain, but to bring joy to a friend. This level of altruism is rare among the species I have encountered. The breakthrough came 8 months into the search mission, in a region so distant that the signals took weeks to reach the home galaxy. The deep search vessel Harmony, crewed by a joint team of humans, mantoids, and synthetic collective members, detected energy patterns that matched NYTH Andra's cosmic signature with 97% accuracy. The discovery sparked celebrations across the galaxy, but none more heartfelt than Emma's reaction. The 10-year-old girl actually cried tears of joy when she delivered the news to her friend, floating in her pod while NYTH Andra's massive form trembled with emotions that sent ripples through local spacetime. "You're not alone anymore," Emma whispered, her young voice carrying across the void. "We found you a friend." NYTH Andra's response came not in words but in a song that resonated through the cosmic background radiation itself, a call that stretched across millions of light-years, carrying 4 billion years of loneliness transformed into hope. And, somewhere in the distant reaches of space, another cosmic dragon heard the call and began to sing in reply. The answering song reached the galaxy 3 days later, a harmony of reunion that affected every sensitive instrument in known space. Species that had never experienced cosmic-level communication found themselves inexplicably moved to tears, laughter, or their own cultural expressions of joy. Emma listened to the distant harmony with wonder, then turned to her friend with the satisfied smile of a job well done. See? I told you somebody out there missed you. As preparations began for the longest journey in galactic history, a mission to bridge the gap between two cosmic dragons separated by millions of years of lonely wandering, the galaxy settled into a new understanding of what was possible when different species worked together with pure intentions. The universe was vast and, often cold, but it was also full of friends waiting to be found. And, sometimes, it took the innocent wisdom of a human child to remind everyone that the greatest adventures began with the simple decision to reach out to someone who needed a friend. Andra began composing a song of welcome for its distant cousin, while Emma started planning what she cheerfully described as the biggest family reunion in galactic history. The cosmos itself seemed to pulse with anticipation, ready to witness what wonders could emerge when loneliness was finally banished from the void. In the end, the galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all: no one, no matter how powerful or ancient, should ever have to face the universe alone.